of an entertainment industry entrepreneur running a music label, and of somebody who gives back to the community here in Los Angeles. The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture. It is one of a murderer, a thief, a liar.
Federal authorities say there are other alleged gang members facing charges they say are connected to the criminal enterprise. A number of arrests were made this week. These sketches showed two defendants, Sylvester Robinson and Mark Martin, in federal court Wednesday afternoon.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, we're really talking about typical Democrat insanity here, and where, they were just helping and hosting a gang member. Yeah, that's right. Where he commits murder, tax fraud, and all these other great things that seems to be helping with the criminals. It's at this point where I'm starting to think that Democrats just have the ability to just be criminals. And Mayor Bass, which seems to happen to be almost at the foothold of this outside of the previous mayors, just goes to show that they just can't be trusted. Now, what we have here is that this guy is been part of the Black Lives Matter crew and what have you, and has been part of the crits since the 1980s. So you kind of would expect, some normalcy here, but no, that's not what we have or what we get from him.
Talked about a number of people in this press conference, but the main focus was on a man named Eugene Henley. The feds say he committed a series of racketeering crimes, including extortion, human trafficking, fraud, and the murder of a rapper in 2021. But this same man, Eugene Henley, is known throughout the Los Angeles community. He's been involved with work including youth charities, and the feds say he did it all to further his own criminal enterprise.
So we have this here where he was getting donations and funding, and all this great stuff from the Democrats, like from celebrities, on going forward, all this great stuff. It's really great. It's just shown that Democrats seem to be very, very pro-criminal, considering the fact that this is all that they do, is that when you dig deep enough, you find out that they were supporting a criminal at some point in their time, and by all means, it was a actual gang criminal, so of course, this is A-okay in Democrats' eyes, because, they love to do it.
We're following several breaking news stories at this hour. We begin with that South LA man who the feds say used taxpayer money and donations to fund gang activities. In the past hour, we've learned that Eugene Henley Jr. and Brian Mejia were taken into custody. Henley Jr. is a longtime leader of the Rolling 60s Crips, according to the FBI. But in recent years, he worked in entertainment and ran a youth charity that the acting U.S. attorney now says was a front for his criminal enterprise.
Now, what we have just learned is that this man here is a criminal, and then when he got out of jail, for being a gang member, because that's what he is, he decided to switch the tune, trying to make a small shift in his life, to where it's like, okay, now I'm gonna help the babies, I'm gonna help the youth, I'm gonna help the kids, because that's what I want to do in life. Only to find out that this man was only using it as a front, lying to everybody, lying to people, and of course, lying to Democrats, because Democrats just can't do, obviously, research, and just fund his criminal empire, his gang criminal empire. I mean, where are we going to go off with this, where insanity just keeps on giving, and it's just insane. Now, what we have here is simple because this is all in LA, because of course, why wouldn't it be in LA, of all things? It says we have here, according to an affidavit filed with criminal complaint filed Monday and unsealed today, from 2010 to the present, Henley's criminal group, identified in court documents as the Big U Enterprise, operated as a mafia-like organization that utilized Henley's stature and standing association with the Rolling 60s and other street gangs to intimidate businesses and individuals in Los Angeles. Henley is widely regarded as a leader within the Rolling 60s and rose to prominence in the street gang during the 1980s. While the Big U Enterprise at times partnered with the Rolling 60s and other criminal elements for mutual benefit, the Big U Enterprise is a distinct and independent criminal enterprise engaged in criminal activity including murder, extortion, robbery, trafficking, and exploiting sex workers, fraud, and illegal gambling. Yeah, so obviously this seems to be a common trend with these people. When you have what we are seeing all the time here with the Black Lives Matter and what have you, hey, it just goes to show that these people just continuously do these problems and these crimes, and it is kind of interesting on how we end up getting here in the first place. I mean, we have Democrats supporting this type of thing. We have Democrats getting funding and donations because obviously they care more about the criminals and the American people at hand. I mean, this is kind of obvious of what was going on here. And we have more. It says here, for example, in January 2021, Henley murdered a victim identified in the affidavit as a RW, an aspiring musician signed to Unique Music. Henley and Martin's music label, shortly before RW's murder, Henley and Unique Music paid for RW to travel to Las Vegas to record music at a Grammy Award-winning music producer's studio. But RW did not record at the agreed-upon rate and instead recorded a defamatory song about Henley, causing Henley and Robinson to travel to Las Vegas to confront him. Henley allegedly drove to RW to North Las Vegas and shot him in the head, and dragged the victim's body off Interstate 15 into the desert and left it in the ditch. Henley returned to Los Angeles with Robinson and older studio workers to leave while his associate removed our security surveillance footage from the studio. Henley allegedly later ordered witnesses to not speak with law enforcement about RW's murder. Yeah, so we have this here to where, obviously, a gang member, because these people are gang members, they're violent, and they're not good people, they went and gone out into, and decided to murder somebody because, of a beef, a rap music. Because rap music is a great way to go and to get into places, right? So, it's quite entertaining on how we can enter this area here where we have the murder and all these people are doing it. And it gets worse here, right? Where it's also to defrauding donors and nonprofit entities and stuff like that, where it's just amazing. So again, we have this here with this, that the enterprise also enriches itself by defrauding donors to nonprofit entities under the control of the Big U enterprise, including Henley's charity, Developing Options, a Hyde Park-based nonprofit. Henley marketed Developing Options as South Los Angeles youth alternative choices to gang violence, drugs, and other criminal activity. But the Big U enterprise allegedly used it as a front for fraudulent purposes and to insulate its members from suspicion by law enforcement. So let's do a bit of recap here, right? Let's do a little bit of recap. So this guy is a criminal. He has been known for murder, extortion, robbery, trafficking, and exploiting sex workers, fraud, and illegal gambling. He has murdered somebody for talking about a rap diss on him, apparently. And then we have this as well where he also decided to do fraudulent purposes and all that great stuff. So I don't see where we're going with this is going to be a good thing and where we go from here. And of course, he is also known for, getting the taxpayer because, of course, that's Democratic MO. You got to get the taxpayer.
Records for the Ex-Offender Fellowship, which includes the city money and private donations. You can see its revenue went from around $500,000 a year to nearly $800,000, then to nearly $2 million for 2023, the last tax return available. Where was the money going? The tax returns show while Eugene Henley Jr. was paid $95,000 as president and director, nearly all the money collected went to compensate unnamed top staff members, including corporate officers, directors, and trustees. According to the criminal complaint, Henley diverted much of that money to his personal bank accounts, and the feds say he allegedly pocketed tens of thousands of dollars in donations intended for the groups, including a $20,000 contribution from an NBA All-Star.
Yeah, so everything that we see here is due to running around to George Floyd riots or what have you. And even if any of these records were remotely credible or what have you, he pretty much just took all this money, put for a 3-year to $40 3-year contract, and takes all that money and invests it into his own actual gang empire. Right? This is what's been going on here. And it's insane. And we have this here that says the RICO charges against Mr. Henley and his associates reflect a pattern of crimes that runs the gamut from extortion to tax evasion, all under the umbrella of a well-organized criminal organization led by Mr. Henley. Special Agent in Charge Tyler Hatcher, IRS Criminal Investigation, Los Angeles Field Office. Additionally, Mr. Henley allegedly duped the county of Los Angeles by running a charitable organization that promoted anti-gang solutions while continuing criminal activity that was directly contrary to his charity. IRS CI is proud to partner with fellow law enforcement organizations to investigate these criminal organizations to protect their communities from further harm. So, yeah, this is insane here, and this is all due to the fact that Democrats just refuse to do anything in terms of looking at who they have as a person, right? I mean, if there is an ex-gay member and, what have you, the last thing I'm going to do is probably be like, yeah, I'm going to put them at the highest order of government, and this person should be allowed here. No, I don't think so. Now, he can go get a job somewhere else, but being part of the government, this is too risky. And this is what happens here. Democrats are failing to check these people, and this is just what goes. And now what we have is we have RICO charges against this guy, and he's been harming the community because they're just allowing and not checking these people. I don't know what else to tell you here other than just being complete and utter insanity by every stretch of the imagination. Now, again, this goes on to be something else as well, where all the money is being tied to the South LA gang, etc., to around $800,000. It's just crazy.
For the city's gang intervention efforts. Henley's most recent contract with the city shows a payment of nearly $800,000 due in July 2024, the final installment of a 4-year agreement that paid his groups more than $2.2 million for intervention. Henley, seen here in a red carpet photo, began forming the nonprofits in 2009, according to state records. They began receiving city gang intervention funding as far back as 2011. Between 2018 and 2023, LA Controller payment records show Henley's groups received around $500,000 a year. Then, in 2023, a significant increase that followed then-Mayor Eric Garcetti's efforts to increase funding for intervention work after the rise in violent street crime that followed the COVID-19 pandemic.
So yes, this was at the height of when the Democratic people thought it was a good idea to remove funding and remove funding from the police department because due to the George Floyd and all that and the Black Lives Matter riots. And so we think it's a good idea to remove funding and just give it to the criminals. That's pretty much what they're doing here. Because now it's like they wanted to help the people, but then they end up giving it to a criminal, a gangbanger, mind you, that's part of the Crips, and it was actually going to target youth so they can recruit them. And I'm not really surprised that things were getting worse because of crime, because you are literally having Democrats going out and funding a gang criminal organization here, because this is a guy that has been known for doing this, and he's funding it, and he's using this money to recruit and get people on the streets, which is incredibly increasing crime. And they are taking the money instead of giving it to, the police officers that probably should need it and massively hurt the amount of hurt the police departments that were able to fight crime and all that great stuff. They give it to somebody else, which is a gang organization, and it causes chaos and mayhem around the place, because this is the way Democrats are run. This is the way Democrats do things. It's insane. I don't know how they're able to get away with this, but that's what they do. And then to add insult to injury, this is Karen Bass' actual response to the whole situation after this unfolded, etc. It's completely insane.
Ranging criminal complaint. Henley is also accused by the feds of failing to file accurate tax returns for many years and a scheme that was designed to boost his apparent income in order to qualify for a home loan. Now, we asked the mayor's office about its oversight of these programs. The mayor's office didn't respond to our specific questions, but said in a message this afternoon the city has strict oversight over these programs, but the complaint alleges a sophisticated effort to thwart the rules. The state's franchise tax board gave us some general information about what should happen to a nonprofit that's been suspended from doing business, but said it could not discuss this specific case.
It is going to show that Karen Bass is the most incompetent, dumbest mayor that we have ever seen. I mean, the way that she handled the Palisade fires is nothing but abysmal. I mean, granted, Gavin Newsom did not help, but she did a horrific job. She said she was going to go and clean out and deal with the homeless, But that's not the case either. She didn't go and do that at all. And now we have here is that she's saying, oh, well, we trust these companies or what have you that is doing this, yet these people are the exact companies that are exploiting exploiting others and doing criminal organization. Like, I don't know what's going on in her head. She has no ability to lead. She is probably one of the worst LA mayors that I've ever bloody seen, and she's just letting a criminal group go rampant. Like, these companies have been known to scam and do illegal things and fraud people. And she's saying that this is all good. It's completely asinine here. I don't know what we're doing. It's like, when LA people vote, they vote in the most dumbest, incompetent people imaginable. The people that should nowhere near be in office at all, but they are because because the people of LA are probably dumb or what have you, or they just don't do enough research. It's insane to me, and it's just like, when is it going to end where there's going to be some type in California where things just get back on its feet and stop crumbling under itself?
It was just yesterday on the south steps of City Hall when Mayor Karen Bass touted the success of publicly funded anti-crime community groups. A message to Washington not to cut out federal grant money for the mayor's signature effort at fighting gang violence.
Through our Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program, also known as GRID, we are directly addressing gang violence through intervention, prevention, and community engagement services.
But according to the U.S. Department of Justice today, not all of that money was going to reduce gang violence. Federal authorities say self-described community activist Eugene Henley, also known as Big U, received $2.3 million from the city over 5 years for gang intervention efforts. Money prosecutors say instead went into drug trafficking, fraud, even murder, and Henley's own bank account.
A criminal enterprise where hundreds of thousands of dollars were siphoned off that should have gone to charitable purposes, gang reduction, gang intervention.
Now, I find it absolutely hilarious that the Trump administration has gone out and pretty much labeled a indictment on one of these companies, what Karen Bass was praising, is absolutely hilarious in every single way. But another thing too is that I also agree that that LA or or California should never get any money or grants from the federal government because they have been proven to be wholly incompetent and causes other issues within their own state. Like, it's really kind of obvious. And then it's like the companies will go out and say that we're not going to spend it on this or this or this or like on or what have you, but they go out and do it anyways. And Karen Bass is like, seal of approval, go on it, and it just causes more mayhem and chaos for everyone. It's insane. So yeah, no money for them, nothing at all. But here's one thing that we have to say, right? One thing that we have with the Eugene Henley here, where where we have this here from Anna Kasparian, which is changing her tune, changing her slide because, the left are insane. And she even says that what his actual reasoning was onto why he shouldn't be, prosecuted or why he's being attacked.
Want me to predict what the reality of the situation is? I think he's probably guilty considering how long this investigation had gone on for, considering the evidence that the federal authorities claim they have. But here's what Henley says. I ain't been nothing but a help to our community. This is the price of being Black and trying to help somebody, trying to help your community and do what you can. You just guilty because somebody else don't like you. Okay, yes, everybody is plotting against Henley because he wants to help his community.
It's this type of reality here, this type of stupidity where I say this is what it goes to every single bloody time. When things are not going your way, when things are just, happens to be, a little bit rough, let's just put it onto racism. Let's put it onto, oh, I'm Black, you can't criticize me, and we can't take accountability for ourselves. They do this all the time. Every Democrat that's going to be caught in this situation is going to be like, oh, no, you just do it because he's Black. Oh, no, it's because of racism that. It's like, when are we going to stop, take accountability for ourselves, and be like, no, it's not racism. This guy's just a piece of garbage. He's a terrible human being. He should have never been out of jail in the first place, and let alone be in this type of power, this powerful in the government. So again, this is something that is just insane to me on how this is going on. The Democrats have a lot to be blamed for this, and the previous governors as well. And it's just ludicrous. So, guys, I don't know what else you guys want from me, but this is what we have here. This is what the report is. So, without further ado, like, subscribe, share. Hope you guys liked the video. More coming soon tomorrow. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care, my friends.